Mi memoria no funciona. Entonces, a ver, otra vez, bla, bla, bla. Motivation is what makes us feel, do something. It's the internal fuel we have. On the kind of motivation I'm going to have will depend how long I'm going to do something, if I really want to do it, and no matter the effort, if I'm really, really well motivated, although it's very difficult and I need to cross the overseas, bueno, I will do it. I will do whatever I need in order to achieve my goal. As we saw in the video at the beginning of the course, pues motivation can be intrinsic or extrinsic. And sometimes the teacher can be an important element. And fortunately or unfortunately, we are like one of the main ingredients in the motivation of students, because we are the creators, we are the facilitators, we are going to provide the information, we are going to present it, we are going to prepare activities in order to involve and enchant our students, okay? So in order to be good motivators, we need to have specific activity characteristics. Do you remember what is competence? What are the ingredients to make a competence? No? Bueno, a competence is the combination of three different elements. I need to have knowledge, I need to have attitudes, and I need to have skills or abilities. These three main ingredients compose or make a competition. For example, in our students, if we want them to make them competent, ya ven que in the past, when we were working with aprendizajes clave and the previous programs, well, since 2011, 2014, we were talking about competences, the competences of language. In this case is to have the knowledge, I mean, grammar, vocabulary, etc., the skills, and the attitude, which are the soft skills. In the case of the teachers, I also need to be competent. Now, the new programs, I don't like that because I'm sorry, pero I don't agree with them because they are focusing the word or the concept of competent as a competition between students. O sea, they don't understand that a competence is that the ability that you have the skills, that you are skillful enough, that you have everything integrated in order to face a situation. Entonces, we are going to have all these elements to face the situation. What is the situation? Pues motivate, enchant, create interest, and as a result, to motivate students. And they are going to stay and they are going to enjoy. We are going to create emotions and we are going to create long-lasting learning. So the skills for teachers are creativity, which is skill for the 21st century, supportive, supportive and understanding, within specific limits, because otherwise one thing is supportive and the other thing is to be barquito, so supportive, understanding, being aware of the necessities and the situations the students go through. Huh? You are challenging students and you vary the pace of the class. You are changing constantly the interaction between the students and the interaction with you. And challenge students is to como create um, this mental problem, how they need to find a solution. They need to really have this necessity to use and learn the language. Like if they were living or they were totally immersed in the language. So you are constantly challenging. And if you achieve this, now I'm going to ask you to do something more difficult and so on. Uh, this teacher helps the students to be more independent. Like in the methodology we saw of guided discovery, she mentioned that normally students don't like this method because they believe that we are not doing our stuff, no? And the traditional model of education is that the teacher is the one who dictates the law, dictates the class, tells you exactly what to do, and you just obey, as a soldier, as a slave. And you don't have experience, you don't have opinions, and you are not able to do anything. Entonces, the teacher needs to invert the roles. The teacher is just the guide, and the students are the ones who are developing, creating, discovering, etc. You use, or we should use, different materials and methods. So as we saw yesterday, we can combine these 5 or 6 methodologies. Now imagine if we think about thousands and thousands of methods, systems, techniques, etc., and the ones that we haven't discovered yet. No, so we can create very fun and dynamic classes. Can present language concepts and give instructions clearly and simply. It's something that we need to improve. We need to make a serious analysis, and the evaluation is not only for the students, it's also for the teachers. So we need to find out what skills we need to improve. For example, in my case, I need to improve speaking because I tend to repeat over and over things. And well, I get distracted very easily. So if something crosses in my mind or if I see something, I easily lost the track. Maybe because I'm online. If I am face to face, like for me, it's easier to get concentrated. But when I'm teaching this kind of courses, for me, it's really difficult, the concentration thing. Entonces, I know that is an opportunity I have to improve. Establishes discipline and order in the lessons. Respectful. We can cope with each other. We can help each other. We are a team. When I was teaching in primary, I used to have a sort of mantra, and I started my lessons by repeating with students in Spanish. Todos, ¿qué? Todos vamos juntos. No, nadie se queda, nadie se adelanta, todos vamos juntos porque somos un gran grupo. Because we have the fast finishers, we have the slower students, and sometimes we have disruptions. Or it may cause like, ay, apúrate, no te vamos a estar esperando, and this kind of attitudes. But if we make this consciousness that we need to help each other, we need to understand, and probably if I see my classmate having problems, struggling with something, to be able to offer help. to be more humanistic. And I consider that is something that is really, really important nowadays. Ujú. Entonces, discipline rules, if you say domingo a las 12 de la noche, is domingo a las 12 de la noche. Although you have corazón de pollo, pues corazón de piedra, because the students need limits, ¿no? When they have a boss, or when you have a boss, pues you are not going to say, ay, jefecito, pues fíjate que mi perro se comió mi cuaderno y pues no pude hacer el reporte. Pues no, we have deadlines and we need to deliver reports and things on the limit, on the borderline, see, on time always. So it's part of the formation and the discipline. Discipline means to have a established routine. It's not like obeying, así de disciplinado. When I listen to the word discipline, I imagine a soldier, ¿no? Someone who obeys así de sí, señor, no, señor, ¿no? But discipline is routine. Is order. O si habla la desordenada, talks about order, habits, organization. For example, I know that I have many problems with organization. So I try to write down in a planner all my activities. And in such a way you create that habit. So that makes you be disciplined, despite you have any conditions or whatever, ¿no? Entonces, is teaching the students that they need to dedicate time to do the homework, to be quiet in the class, to use English only in the class, to, I don't know, to deliver homeworks on time. Those are studying habits, and they are going to be very useful on the real life, no? Help students to correct the mistakes without demonstrating them. We need to know exactly the necessities of our students, the characteristics, and based on that, observe. And based on that capacity, provide the correct and the appropriate feedback. Yes, always having a criteria very well established, and also share this criteria with the students. So you will know, they will know exactly what you are looking for in them. And you decide, depending on the personality of your students, if you are going to pues, provide the feedback written or oral, individually, or you can do it in the group as a whole, but without mentioning names. Although you are very angry, así que los quieres matar, I know that, Pepito, ven acá, ya saben que-". No, o sea, you need to hold on. And because nowadays, pues, everything can be used against you. So we need to be very careful in that, no? And also, we don't know the way the students are going to react. I heard that in Mexico City, a student from first grade of secondary, he stabbed his teacher because he didn't like the way she was providing the feedback. I mean, I'm not blaming the student. I say, ay, pobrecita maestra. Or I'm not saying, ay, esta maestra, ¿cómo da el feedback así? No. I mean, it's a combination of different situations. So we need to protect ourselves. And if something goes beyond our control, pues always have the support from teammates and the supervisor. I know sometimes it's difficult, but if the supervisor is not available, well, to have a good relationship with a colleague can make you can be helpful. Okay. Now the attitudes, you need to be interested in students. Really, really, you really want to help them. You really want um, to leave something in them. So that's why you are observing, you are making notes, you are preparing the class according to their characteristics and necessities. Patient, enthusiastic, you don't give up, good sense of humor, and encouraging. O sea, we need to aplaudir, brincar, 3 vueltas y de pestañas. But if we demonstrate this attitude towards our students, it's going to be contagious. I told you about the mirror neurons. If you smile, the other people is going to smile. If you are bad-tempered and you are making faces, pues the other person's is going to say, ay, ¿qué le pasa a esta? Y se va a enojar, ¿no? Or they are going to reject your presence, no? So if we see the class as something motivating, exciting, surely, así se los firmo ante notario, that your students will change the attitude because it's part of the way human beings react. Friendly and helpful with colleagues. Sometimes we are the models. We are the models of students. So they are learning from us. They are observing us. We probably think that they don't notice the way we speak and the way we behave. Sí, decimos palabrotas y nos vamos al antro y tal vez fumamos, bueno, yo no fumo, tomamos o lo que sea, ¿no? But we always need to be a good example for them. So, and also we are humans and they need to learn that teachers are also humans, ¿no? Entonces, let's try to be a good example. And we start with the relationship we have with the colleagues. If they see that I get along with they don't necessarily need to be my friends, but if I support the others, I smile, I'm nice, I'm pues kind, surely they are going to start emitting that attitude as well. The teacher needs to be open to receive feedback and not only feedback from the students, but also when the supervisor comes and observes our classes and they tell us, es que aquí la regaste, darling, a ver, ¿por qué hiciste la free production después de la presentation? No, pues te falló. ¿Dónde está el control practice y el semi-control practice? Y tú, sí, se me chispó, pues perdón. Next, the following class, I'm going to annotate on a piece of paper the steps I need to follow. So I'm going to be focused on these weaknesses I need to improve. Next module, we are going to talk about this. So don't worry, we will have opportunities to improve. And finally, pues the knowledge. We need to be, pues if not experts and get a C2 level and have a very nice English and pronunciation, well, we need to do our best. We need to study, we need to be in contact with the language, we need to be updated. And a good beginning is pues what you are doing right now. You are attending a class, although you are taking or not taking the exam, pues you are updated. You are probably listening to things that maybe you knew and you had stored over there in your brain. So a refreshment is always good. We need to be aware about the problems and the necessities of our students. And always be eager to answer and provide feedback and probably repetition of things and terms that maybe my students haven't understood very well. Okay. A ver, voy a ver aquí un comment que me dejaron desde hace ratillo. Dice, perdón. Ok, perfecto. Ah, sí, Miss Irma. Sí, sí, sí. Ahorita se los mando. Ahora, the important points. Many factors influence our motivation. Remember intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic is vain. It disappears quickly. If my teacher tells me, I'm going to give you a lollipop, if you answer correctly the exercise, pues the motivation finishes at the moment I receive my lollipop. Yeah, I'm happy. And what else? Because I achieved my goal. My goal was to obtain my lollipop. And I'm doing this or I'm solving the exercise just because I want the candy. The motivation should be the other way around. My motivation should be learn, be able to have more culture, to be very well prepared, or probably they have their own individual goals. For example, my daughter wants to go to Canada to study, and that's her motivation. And she sells candies, and she makes supplementary material for teachers. She draws and she plastifies and she prepares didactic material, visual aids. And sometimes she needs to go to bed very late, although she's 12. She works very hard and she's learning how to earn her own money. But the motivation is that one day in high school, she wants to attend a school in Canada. And she knows that is expensive and that probably for me it's going to be a little bit difficult to afford the school. So she wants to help me with that. So it's an internal motivation. And no matter what happens around, she has very clear what she wants. It's the same. Our students need to have very, very clear, foresee, mostly in college, they need to foresee themselves how they want to see themselves within 10, 5, 3 years. Probably they want to be working for an international company or probably get a job abroad or I don't know. And for that, they need the language. So it's important to know in order to focus the motivation to that target they have. If they gain self-confidence, if they find themselves secure and capable of doing things, they are going to feel motivated. They are going to feel happy. But how they are going to know that they are achieving goals? Pues if I share the objective, otherwise they are just solving exercises and doing isolated activities. So if I show them the objective and they see how well or how not so well they achieve the goal, pues they are going to feel satisfied and they are going to feel much more motivated. Create the interest, relevant. The topics should be so well chosen that they can be easily internalized by students. I need to know the students. I need to observe also the responses, the reactions my students have. The way they react. Keep in mind that the motivation changes with age. For example, the ones who work with little children, pues we know that pues children are like, te doy y tú haces, yo te prometo el lollipop y me coloreas bien bonito tu dibujo, ¿no? Because they don't have this mental capacity of long-term goals. Is the immediate satisfaction of their wishes because they are still under the control of this reptilian brain. So they want to get what makes them feel satisfied. And what? Pues something physical, something tangible. They don't have this capacity of imagination, the future, imagining the future. But adults, you can, pues I don't know, create the interest because of the culture. Probably they want to go to visit Disney or New York or something like that. So you can create this intrinsic motivation by using the culture of the target language. So we need to be examples. We need to create a relaxed, no demanding atmosphere. No quiere decir que barco y así de todos somos cuates y yupi yupi. No, but where they feel free to ask and comment. Probably is the only place where they can be heard. The tasks, interesting, challenging, motivating, meaningful. Develop a good a relationship with students. And that you have them face to face, no? Sometimes a smile, a word, I don't know, a little detail like that can connect and can heal a student when he or she is not doing well. This part of increasing the self-confidence, autonomy, personalization of the classes, awareness of their goals by sharing the objectives, and familiarize or share this cultural stuff with them. So the learning process is going to be complete. And as part of this friendly and accessible environment, they will feel motivated and invited to ask questions, to receive appropriate feedback, and be able to reflect. Because it's hard when the students receive a feedback, or we are not used to do that. Receiving feedback, analyzing the mistake, see what we did wrong, and try again, taking into account what I did wrong before, so I can skip the stone. I can give the following step. We just receive the number y sí, man, ay, qué babas. Aquí era 5 por 3, 5 por 3, no sé, X. Y yo le puse Y. 3 por 5, 15. 5 por 3, 15. And I wrote 25. Híjole, pues no, pues sí. A ver. Yes? And maybe doing something in order to fix that mistake. No, pues, ay, qué babas. Ay, ya, saqué 8. Sí paso. Sí la libro. That's what normally our students, no matter if they are primary or secondary, they always do the same. So invite your students to check, to self-correction, analyze and meditate, okay? So we are going to define the different types of errors our students can commit. They can have mistakes or errors when they are trying to use either for grammatical structures or vocabulary that belong to the following step, or to the following level that is beyond their factual level, or maybe they are recalling or reusing or redoing or recommitting mistakes that weren't fixed and corrected in the past. For example, when they are committing these mistakes, where they are trying to use a very complex grammatical structure that doesn't correspond to their level, or because the process of learning is not very strong. I mean, if they need extra practice, if something is like not very clear in their mind, we call it developmental errors. And it's because of lack of practice. Or probably they are trying to do something that they are not yet prepared. And it's not bad. It's an opportunity for the teacher to realize that maybe the student needs extra, pues no extra homework, pero sí extra work or further practice or a follow-up activity, or we need to reteach something that probably was not very clear. Or maybe if they are trying to use something that goes beyond the level, pues to say, a ver, dale. Es que you don't remember, you use this and this and that. So we are going to see it later. We are going to see that topic the following level. So it's okay that you are trying to use, but first practice this one, because for first conditional you use present simple y como que no le estás poniendo la S. Entonces, a ver, check this. We check the second statement, and then we try to do this, okay? So you don't underestimate and you don't disappoint your student, but you kindly ask him to wait, or to practice, yes? Sometimes the students listen to words which are very domingueras and they sound very, así, very exotic, but they don't know how to use it. Probably you can tell them, ¿no? A ver, remember que, no sé, supercalifragilístico espiralidoso, pues se usa en este contexto, no en ese. So they learn. It's because there's no enough practice. When the students are overgeneralizing, it's because, again, let's say that they are not mature enough and they don't have enough experience. As in the case of the developmental errors, where they are trying to use something but they need more practice, overgeneralization is the same. The thing is that here they are giving the property of a word to all the words. For example, shun, playation, cancionization, annotation, dorsation, frenzation, y todo es Asian. Or the regular verbs, the, T, and ed. Probably when they read ed ending in verbs, pues the sound for all of them is F. Entonces you worketh, you copieth, you isolated, and all the verbs, the regular verbs, are F. So here is lack of practice again. something is not like very well fixed there and they need extra help. So in these kind of errors, in the morning I was telling the teachers that probably we can call them evidences. Instead of error, que suena horrible, we can say the evidences the students are providing. If they are having this not appropriate or these kind of evidences, they are showing us, they are demonstrating us that they need extra help, pues we need to plan and replan the lesson, ahora sí que lesson plan, in order to provide extra and decide if the practice they need is controlled or semi-controlled before they go to the free practice. Also, this interlanguage process is the process in which they are switching up, they are turning on the file for the second language. And sometimes they confuse in L1 and L2, or even when you are trying to learn a third language. For example, when I tried to learn German, long time ago, the teacher was speaking in German and I was answering in English. O sea, I was able to understand more or less. But I tend to use English instead of using Spanish. I use English. Entonces, for me, it's very difficult to make this connection y por eso I quit. Because for me, I know, me desesperé and I left the classes. So this interlanguage is the connection between one language and another one. Can be L1 to L2 or L2 to L3, L3 to L4, L4 to L5 y así. Always con el que viene atrás. With the previous one. So if you speak Spanish, the interference when learning English is going to be Spanish. But if you speak Spanish as a second language and you are learning how to speak Japanese, pues the interference is not L1, is L2. Y luego when you manage to speak Japanese and you want to speak, no sé, Thai, the interference is not going to be Spanish and English, it's going to be between Chinese and Thai and so on. So it's when you have these misunderstandings. There are other types of errors. A ver si están aquí. That are called slips. The slips is when the students are speaking, but they immediately correct, no? For example, they are talking and suddenly they say, she played the piano. Sorry, she plays the piano. He knows. And because of something, he commits a mistake. But you are able or capable of recognize at the moment you are speaking the mistake and fix it, okay? So because these errors on reality are evidences, we should make conscious our students that mistakes are important. It's not bad to have a mistake. It's bad to have a mistake and repeat it over and over and over and over and over y no salir de ahí. That's the wrong and the negative part. So I need to meditate, to stop and think, why did I have this mistake? Pues porque, híjole, la neta es que la Miss me dijo que había 3 pronunciaciones para ed y no estudié mi lista. ¿Qué tengo que hacer? Pues me tengo que estudiar porque ya hice el oso ahí en la clase, enfrente del chico que me gustaba y pues no, pues ahora me tengo que poner al corriente, ¿no? Entonces, Mistakes are part of my learning process. I need them. In the same way, I need choral repetition, individual repetition, know the vocabulary, know the grammatical structures, know the strategies for surviving a listening or a reading. I need to have mistakes. Otherwise, I would be perfect. And there's no development without, if I'm perfect, entonces, what's the purpose? Is what for, para qué, no por qué, china, pues me equivoqué por babas. No, a ver, para qué, because the purpose is that I need to study more. I need to pay more attention. I need to stop talking with my comadre. I need to focus on what I'm doing. And in this case, we have another and the most difficult to tackle error is fossilized mistakes. Fossilized mistakes happen when the student has not been provided with feedback or correction. So they say they suppose that saying copied pues is super hyper correct. And one day when they get into your classroom and you start correcting them, imagine how this person may feel. Pero ¿por qué si la maestra Pancracia del niño Jesús me dijo que era copia? Y así aprendí, y así he estado hablando los últimos 47 años de mi vida. Pues sí, pero no. And we dismotivate students. They feel like a fiasco. So it's better at the beginning. For me, it was very difficult to correct the students. Me daba pena. Yo decía, ay, ¿cómo le voy a decir que? Ay, no. Luego le digo. No. Corazón de pollo, nivel 400. And sorry, you need to correct them because you know how to use the correct form, but they are in the process of learning and they are going to remember you as the teacher who corrected them, who make them improve. So in this case, pues a lot of practice, first control practice, repetition, and then production. Yes, and a lot of exposure. Invite them to read, invite them to listen. So they will detect and they will realize that on reality no es mala onda, but they have committing the same mistakes. We need to think whether, when, and how to correct the mistakes. If we are working or we are developing a speaking activity, decide if I'm going to evaluate fluency or accuracy, pronunciation or body language, no? In primary, when I was asking my students to read out loud, I told them, okay, I'm going to be evaluating intonation. So you need to respect the commas, the periods, the question marks, and the exclamation points, okay? Entonces, they knew that probably I was not interrupting constantly the reading. But if I said, today we are going to work with pronunciation, they knew that I would be correcting every time they were mispronouncing a word. So they don't feel so bad because they are they know in advance what the activity is going to be about. So learning is gradual, so the normal process are the mistakes, no? Decide and check what kind of error: developmental, overgeneralizing, sleep, pose a last mistake, and in that way you will know exactly how to tackle. And in this case, if it is fluency, pues don't correct. The objective there is for them to gain velocity and self-confidence, okay? Some errors may be more important to be corrected than others, as long as what they are saying and the way they are pronouncing don't obscure the intention and the meaning of what they are saying, omit it. If it is not really clear what he or she is trying to say, entonces it's much better to make a correction. But if not, pues nothing happens, because even native speakers have this kind of errors, no? But they are capable of communicating. We need to think about the individual needs. So observation, the diagnostic. This one, encourage the students to ask for help. If they feel confident, they feel secure, they feel in a nice environment, surely they are going to be eager to ask whenever they have a question, no matter if it is stupid or not. O sea, it can be a very simple question, but maybe a simple question may decide on the results of something. And meditate and invite the students to not satanize the mistakes. Así que the mistakes are your friends, okay? Entonces, we are going to practice with types of mistakes. Entonces, we have, this is part of the mock. The developmental errors, L1 interference, and we have slips, okay? The developmental errors, do you remember what they are? They happen when what?
When students have lack of practice, or they attempt to use grammar structures that not correspond to their levels.
Excellent. L1 interference. For example, they may say, pues es relative, ¿no? Pero relative, o sea, relative de pariente o relative de qué, ¿no? Or they say, pues es que, por ejemplo, in the exams, and the mistake was so frequent that the university decided to omit that question. And they said, no es cierto, esa pregunta sí sigue viniendo. Ahorita que me acuerdo. They say, what's your family name? Because you ask their names, no? You need to check that the papers correspond to the people you have there in front. Entonces you say, what's your name? Chuchita. And your family name? And there are students who don't know what family name is, because that is British. If I said surname, pues entonces ya me dicen Pérez, Juárez, Martínez, X, Y, Z, ¿no? But family names, and sometimes they tell me, my mother is Juanita, my father is Pedro, my sister is no sé quién, mi medio hermano se... And they review all the family, o sea, they describe the whole family tree. In this case, pues family name, pues es L1 interference, ¿no? Entienden una cosa por otra. And sleep is when they are able to recognize their mistake, okay? Entonces, you tell me, it's natural for all beginners to say Like I go home instead of I went home. What kind of error?
A.
Aha,
This is
developmental. Exactly. Even though his level of English was good, the student was so excited yesterday that he made several mistakes which he wouldn't normally make.
Flex.
Aha, why? Because he knows, and there was something extra that was interfering, no? This advanced
What
student.
was it? Letter B, sorry.
Ajá,
Letter B.
letter B. Yes,
Thanks.
no es cierto, es sleep.
Sleep.
Porque aquí there's no
42
interference with
is
the
letter
Spanish.
C, is
Es
asleep.
letter C. Ajá, es sleep.
Okay.
Es que aquí no le puedo poner letrita,
Ya.
pero sí. 42 is
Okay.
letter C. Ajá, porque he
Letter
has a
C.
good level. Ajá, tiene un buen
Yeah.
nivel, pero estaba muy nervioso. No sabemos si excited in a positive or in a negative way. Ajá, entonces imagínense que está en el examen, está en su examen de Cambridge y es First Certificate. Y tiene así super wow, chiquiti wow nivel. And because he's very nervous, se le cuatrapean las ideas, se le borra el cassette y chispas. But it's not because of lack of knowledge, because there was a situation there. So it's a sleep. Remember, in sleep, saben, pero something happens, no? And they sometimes are able to correct or not. This advanced student has still problems distinguishing between s and sh. Doesn't exist in his language.
Developmental.
Letter B?
Letter B.
Exactly. Why?
Because it doesn't exist in his language.
Exactly. Muy bien. Excelente. After we've done the unit on comparatives, using more, several students started saying more nicer, more bigger, and things like that.
A?
Letter A.
Exactly. What they need?
The rules, to learn the rules.
Ajá. Through.
Practice.
Practice.
Ajá. Y como, ¡ay! Me sorprenden. Son mis alumnos favoritos. The intermediate. ¿Eh?
We
No
love
se
you.
lo digan. Thank you. No, no, no se lo digan a nadie. Chin, ya quedó grabado. This intermediate level student did the written exercise on irregular verbs perfectly. But she said caught it when she recorded the exercises. She was probably just a bit nervous because she was recording.
Letter
So
C.
letter C.
Letter C.
Exactly.
This is the-
How I know? Because she made quite well or very well in the written exercise, but in the oral, chinga se nos chispotea. Okay? Very good. Now, the analysis between practice and assessment activities. We saw that practice can be used also as informal evaluation. Informal evaluation is when it's not an established or formal exam. In this case, I'm going to realize about the progress of my students. If I can continue with the next part of the topic, or I need to go backwards. Like the test, teach, test approach. Before I change the topic, I have a sort of practice exercise. I need to reteach or fix something, and then I give them another task so I can realize if it's enough or if they need more. So, and that is practice. An assessment is something especially designed and thought on checking and judging en buena onda, because it says assessment means judge a student's performance. But remember, we are not going to be focused on the on the negative aspects. Híjole, es que este no escribe bien. O híjole, pues no le agarró la onda. No, instead of saying that, they need more practice. Híjole, aquí se traban otra vez. Bueno, we are going to give them an extra exercise for negative present perfect. So I'm going to have different types of assessments. The diagnostic, I think is one of the most important, because it's when I'm going to get to know my students, I'm going to find their necessities, their weaknesses, their learning approaches, etc., etc. So it will be the complete light of my whole course. It will give me the route to achieve my goal. So this is very, very important. Remember the lab studies. I need to have a sample of blood in order to see what is the illness my students have and provide the correct medicine. Placement test. Normally in the schools, we don't have placement test. We don't have basics, intermediate, and advanced. And we don't have basic 1, basic 2, basic 3, intermediate 1, 2, 3, or advanced 4, 5, 6. Normally this kind of evaluation happens in institutes, no, where I need to divide the students according to their level. Formative and progress. Formative and progress is just observation. By the rubrics, by the standards, by the criteria I use to check, can be my objective. I'm going to decide, or I'm going to check if my students got it or if they didn't get yet. If it is okay or if it is not okay. And remember that formative can be changed into summative, because I can give a number or a value to each level, to each standard. Then I have the achievement or the summative are the exams, the quizzes, los tasks, whatever. When you tell your students, study for, because tomorrow we have the weekly quiz, or study because, no sé, we are going to do this or we are going to do that for the report card. So this is a summative, but you can complement the summative by using the formative, okay? Luego we have the self or the peer evaluation, yes? In here, I'm going to share the standards with my students, and they are going to analyze exactly what they did well or why they didn't do well. What they need to improve or what they need to practice more, yes? And they make this reflection. The peer evaluation as well, normally when they are performing something in the classroom, and the rest of the class is given also like the checklist, they are observing and they are evaluating. They are not criticizing and they are not grading, because one thing is grade and the other one is evaluation. Grade is to provide a number, and evaluate is saying basic, intermediate o ya super advanced, ¿no? Entonces, ¿Lo logró o no lo logró? Entonces, observe the presentation of your classmates. The tone of voice was correct? Pues yes. The visual aid was useful for you to understand the topic? Yes. Or no, or I don't know. So in that case, in that way, although they are observing someone else, they can also be aware of what they need to improve. So it's really, really useful. Always with the standards. And believe it or not, to make this self-evaluation, they are very tough with themselves. They don't they don't say, sí a todo. No, sometimes they underestimate their work. So we need to analyze carefully in advance the criteria with them and make sure that it's clear for them. And proficiency is the sort of evaluation carried by institutions like Cambridge, like Trinity, like TOEFL, when they are going to measure the capacity or the proficiency an individual has on the management of the language. In these cases, for example, in routinary or familiar contexts. And well, this one, remember, the objective is true or false, yes or no, sí or no, tachecito, palomita. Are the written exams. And this is normally for grammar or for vocabulary. Maybe reading or listening, no? Because in that case, you may have exercises with very specific kind of answers. And subjective is when the evaluation depends on the criteria and the expertise of the teacher. So in order to be fair, in order to standardize, this subjective needs to be backed up with criterias and standards and is part of the formative or progress evaluation. The objective evaluation normally belongs to the achievement or summative. Okay? Excellent. Now, usefulness. What is evaluation useful for for teachers? I can make a reflection on what my students are doing, what I need to improve, if probably the presentation was appropriate or not for the students. If there's something else I have to do. If I need to have remedial work, that means to present again, like in test, teach, test. I provide the feedback, I fix what I have already done. And then I provide feedback to my students again. Informal assessment is better for younger learners. If you happen to teach preschool or primary, low primary, pues normally you use this kind of assessment. It's just observing. And we use the criteria given by the programs or the standards used by the school. Okay? Pues we have already finished. We covered all the topics that correspond to module 1. Okay? I don't know if you have any questions, any comments, whatever. No? No? Okay, entonces I'm going to stop the recording. All right. Entonces, ay, sí, ya la que tuve. Cuestión.